But anyway, you talked about your mom, and
I did.
your mom was kind of gospel-y and
Uh-huh.
conservative. So, what were some lessons that you learned from your folks that still kind of stick with you today? Talking about getting deep.
I would I would say that the lesson that hit me the deep, unfortunately from my father, I learned a lot what not to do.
And that's still a lesson.
That's still a lesson.
Yeah.
From my mom, I learned about music and about like when you're as poor as you possibly can, you still got music.
Yeah.
I remember we had an old Zenith, and when you light it up, it had this specific yellow glow to it. You know what I'm talking about? The yellow glow from the Zenith. I always thought that was the most beautiful color ever. I loved it. But my first memory of my mother was my first memory of my mother is I was sitting on the floor in a shed of a house on 6th and 6th in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and we'd have nothing. But I was laid out on a blanket, and she was washing dishes, and then she would sing Elvis. She loved Elvis, still loves Elvis. Why wouldn't she? Elvis is incredible.
Today's Elvis's birthday as we film this, by the way.
Yeah, died on the crapper. Sucks. That's a really horrible way to go.
The Crapper was named after a guy named Crapper too.
This is that. Yeah, his last name was Crapper. It's unfortunately for his descendants. Anyways, so when I was a kid, she would do this thing to make me laugh, where she'd go like, oh, and then she would shake it around. And I remember that was my first memory of all times. I would look up at her and just start laughing.
That's amazing.
And that was like, she would sing Elvis, and then she had the part like, oh, and I would, I'm all sugar. And she would do that over and over and over again. And I remember just rolling laughing.
I love how you're talking about your mom like country gospel.
Yeah.
And now your first memory is of Elvis.
Yeah.
Who didn't do those things until way later. Right?
Oh, right, that's true. But the majority of his work is gospel.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you right now, when we get ready for church in the morning, you ask my kids, that's what I put on is Elvis gospel music. That's what we listen to before we go to church every single Sunday.
That's awesome.
That's serious, yeah.
So you learned what not to do from your dad.
Yeah.
What was that?
So we're Cherokee. Like my dad's almost full blood Cherokee. A little bit of an alcohol problem, and so very much. Actually, we reconnected. So this is kind of a roundabout thing, but it was very, very abusive to my mother. Very abusive with us. Very, very absent from our life. I remember like sitting at the window and just looking out and like wishing that my dad would come home just so I could see him. And I don't remember any good words that he's ever spoken to me, any kind things he's ever said. And it was a very hard way of growing up, you know. He had I come to find out later on in life that he had even a worse childhood, like very extremely abusive. And it showed me, it made me understand that I should show some grace and understand where people come from and everything. But later on in life, came back in our life and tried to make amends. And very hard thing saying you should forgive people. It's even harder to do it. And so I ended up writing a song called Damn Sure Try. And that song it's out right now on Spotify and everything like that. But that song is about a dad coming back into a kid's life later and saying, hey, I messed up a lot, but I still want to show you what I did wrong. And it's funny that you said that. Like, that's a lesson. A bad lesson is still a lesson. Mm-hmm. And that's what that song's all about.
Just because your teacher doesn't know they're teaching you doesn't make it any less of a lesson.
Exactly. And if you're a good student, you'll learn absolutely in every situation.
Mm-hmm. I feel as a student of those times, especially when they're your parents, whether it's good or bad, you have a choice to either fall in line and do what you see and what you hear, or you can say, you know what, I want better for myself for that. Because eventually you become that teacher yourself. Right?
And the thing is, it's a weird thing to think that you are separated from your parents and that you would do everything differently then if you really believe that, then never give an excuse for what horrible stuff your parents did. Like I got beat a lot as a kid. That doesn't mean I'm going to beat my kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And there's nobody there teaching us what things to take and what things not to take from our parents, right? Yeah, so we have to decide those things on our own.
Yeah. So I used to be a big fighter. I used to fight people.
Yeah.
That's why I was really I was trying to tell, I was almost half bragging when I was told that detective that I didn't beat the shit out of this guy because like that was old Brandon. Brandon would have done that shit, no problem. Especially growing up with the punk movement. That was one of the rebellious things that you could do. Like punk kids would fight, no problem, all the time, especially Kansas City, rough town. And to be able to to say, just because that's in my nature, and just because that's what I saw growing up, that don't give me the right to go stomp someone to death. You know what I'm saying?
Not.
But I don't think a lot of people do that. Like we're going to go into Adlerian psychology. Like Adler said that there's no such thing as trauma. There's only bad things that happen to you, and the trauma is a value that you ascribe to it. And that's why I like Adlerian psychology way more than Freud, because Freud is hopeless. It's like, well, you have a horrible background, so you're going to have a horrible future. It's not this is cut as dry as that. I'm obviously oversimplifying
of course,
it. But Adler's like, no, something bad happened to you, and you can use that either as fuel to become better, or you can use it as an excuse to hurt other people.
That's right.
And I'm not saying bad shit doesn't happen.
Exactly what I was talking about. Yeah.
It doesn't say that bad shit didn't happen. I'm just saying trauma is a value that you ascribe to. Mm-hmm. And that's not popular at all in our society right
I love
now.
that. And it should be.
It should be
more, because
it's hopeful. Yeah. It gives you hope. You're like,
it's a path to kindness too, like we were talking about earlier.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So again, we're talking about Southwest Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Now you're in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. You end up in Colorado at one point. You end up now in North Texas.
I lived in Philly for a little bit.
Okay, so Philly, you're all over the place.
No,
I guarantee, as a songwriter, you're a very prolific songwriter. We'll get into that in a little while. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee your creative mind is picking up pieces of your surroundings as you move around. So what were those moments like for you, looking back now as a creative mind? What did those things do to kind of shape who you are now as an artist?
When you move around a lot, you get really used to the lonely.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. And being able to...
Were you an only child as well?
No.
Okay.
I have an older brother and a younger sister, and then I have two older half sisters.
Still a lot of lonely in that.
A lot of lonely in that. Yeah. A lot of lonely in that. Growing up, Louisiana's such a dark place.
Yeah.
And it's always cloudy. Like I didn't think that there was such a thing as blue skies my whole life. Like until I moved to Kansas City, I didn't think.
What did Louisiana do that? Why did specifically Louisiana? What did Louisiana do for you to make you feel that way? No blue skies.
It's old. It's old and dark and run down in the most charming way. I find it charming because that's where I grew up and stuff like that. But it's a place that it's older. Where I grew up it's older than America.
Yeah.
So that's something that's really weird.
Well, if that's how you're growing up, when you finally do see those blue skies, they're going to pop a lot.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I mean?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Then that's why we would go to Texas from time to time, and that's what I loved about Texas. Yeah. Texas was like heaven to me. We would go there. I'm like, this is incredible. This is great. So my stepdad, who is like a father to me, he's incredible. My mom's still married to him. He's incredible. His name is David Scott. He's incredible. And his family's all from West Texas and everything like that. So we were a big Cowboys fan growing up. We were like the only people that weren't Saints fans. We were Cowboys fans the whole time.
How's that going for you?
Didn't work out very well in the end. You know what? Why don't we just be friendly, man? Stop being mean.
I'm as friendly as I can get when it comes to the Cowboys.
You like the Cowboys?
Trust that,
come on, brother. No, it was a very...
People always say when I'm making fun of the Cowboys, yeah, well, who do you like? And I'll say the Patriots, and they'll go, yeah, well...
yeah, they're the best team ever. Take that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, well, how's that going for you now?
Still pretty good.
Well, 6 Super Bowls, okay. I can handle 20 years of bad.
Yeah.
It's all good, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's like people used to say that about the Cowboys when they had the 4, right, back in the 90s. Yeah. We can handle 10 years of bad now. Yes. Here we are 35 years later.
Dude, the dynasty of Troy.
We said 10, not 35.
See, you're being like, you're giving like this sideways compliments. You're like, weren't they great way back then?
Well, I can guarantee you I'm never getting a sponsorship. So I'm not real worried about it, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I wouldn't talk this much crap about Tylenol, because that's possible.
This is the weirdest podcast I've ever been on, and I'm into it. Let's do it.
Oh, man. Where were we?
We were talking about how dark Louisiana is. You can't get off of Louisiana. So we
went from dark to blue skies to the Cowboys.
Dude, we're all over the place.
Dark to blue to dark again.
So all these tangents, I love them. I love them. That's how life, though, is.
It is.
Life is all about tangents. Yeah. Brother. I'm one of those guys that, like, I go down the street and I'm like, I wonder where that road goes. And I just go down it. I love that
That's
stuff.
The ADHD in us, right?
100. How did you know I have that?
We all do, man. Come on now.
You know, they call it the hunter's brain because you could sit for like just like the zone out for like hours, and then you got to get super hyper focused so that you can hunt, like, and focus on what the prey is.
Are you
They
one
say
of
that's
those
where it
people
came
that when you read books, you read the same paragraph 6 times?
100%.
Oh my God, I hate that.
Do you understand that? Like,
Yeah, I hate it so much.
what's your favorite author?
Author depends on genre, but right now I'd probably go with like I do audiobooks on my channel as well.
Yeah.
And I've been reading a lot of H.G. Wells lately. So
Oh, jeez.
yeah,
Mine's
I just did
mine's-
The Magic Shop on my channel.
Dude,
By
really?
then. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. Well,
Somebody said you have a voice of an audiobook person, so you should try it.
That's
So
great,
here I
dude.
am trying it.
my favorite is Dostoevsky. I love him.
Yes.
Dude, he's great. But try reading the same paragraph over and over in Dostoevsky and try not to get depressed. It's like, it's,
can't do it.
It's not, dude. So that's definitely ADHD where I'll just read the same thing. Okay, wait, no. What did it say? But what's good though is like, that makes it where I can memorize stuff. So I memorize stuff pretty easily. Stuff like that.
That's good. I used to say that I have a photographic memory. It's just I sometimes forget to load the film.
Yep, that's 100%. That's what ADHD is.
Yes,
it really
absolutely.
is, dude. There's so many times where like I can just memorize stuff and like repeat it back to people, and then like that's really
My
pretty
ex-wife
close
used to
to
say, I thought you had a photographic memory. I said, I haven't had money for film since the 90s.
Or you can. Some people I know smoked up.
I know that's true too.